Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working a hustle and a get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s,
Good
baby.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode number 83 of the Xcast here on the EmpireMedia.com. I'm your host, Josh Houselander. It is day 5078 in the search for Tim Chevelday. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, producer extraordinaire, and just all-around cool dude.
No, thank you.
Adam Hernandez.
Thank you.
You're very
appreciate that.
welcome, sir. You're very welcome. How you doing, Adam?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We just had a killer episode of the best podcast in history. Hope some of you tuned into that. If you are interested in that sort of thing,
It was a fun show.
It was a fun show. Yeah,
I
it
enjoyed
wasn't.
that.
It wasn't
It was
very hardcore history tonight. We mostly just
It
talked
got pretty hardcore at the end there.
It did.
Though.
It did. It did. We turned it around and talked some legit history.
I mean, it started out as a little gossip.
Yeah.
You know.
It was more like the E Network.
Yep.
Talking about the royal wedding.
I think you were Joan Rivers. And...
Yes.
I don't know who Tiffany was. I don't know anybody else on that show.
I feel like we're kind of like Joan and Melissa Rivers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I think we definitely were.
I could be Kelly Osbourne. I guess.
Yes, you were Kelly Osbourne. You were so Kelly Osbourne on that last show. That's like a huge compliment you just gave me, because Joan Rivers is one of my favorite people.
Oh,
of
Joan
all
Rivers!
time.
Joan Rivers was great. She was
hilarious.
she was awesome. She was ahead of her time too.
She was. Oh my God.
She was a great. Was she maybe the best insult comic?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think she's one of maybe arguably top 5 funniest people ever alive.
Yeah, I think she definitely probably was the best insult comic of all time.
She would say stuff that was just I couldn't believe she would say it. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you would laugh, but just be like, wow.
You felt bad about laughing.
Like that 75-year-old woman just offended me. Like that woman just legitimately offended me.
It was sad too with her. Also, is when she died. I mean, she died during like plastic surgery. I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
So
it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't like like a surgery or something that should have been life-threatening.
And what was so strange about it too is that then Melissa Rivers, her daughter, kind of became like a great. She wasn't that funny. She wasn't a comedian, but she was like an excellent straight man for her mom.
To her mom, yeah.
I mean, which was great. I mean, she would like just do the thing where she would just kind of like roll her eyes when her mom would talk, and just like, oh my God, I mean, it was classic.
Yeah.
Although I do remember one of Melissa Rivers' funniest lines ever was when Joan Rivers was going on a rant ripping on all of these like famous stars, and she just like kept going, and like Melissa couldn't get her to like switch over, and she was trying to like change subject, or she was just like bitter party of one, your table is available. That's awesome. Like what a great line. It's bitter table of one, your table is available. Oh, I loved it. I miss those days. I miss when she was on the E show, and then she got kicked off of it.
Did she get kicked off of it? I thought it just stopped because she died.
No, she was on E. She was like invented the red carpet thing, but then E,
because her show is Fashion Police.
Yeah, she got kicked off of that, and then she did it on the TV Guide channel.
Oh, okay.
After that is where she was doing it at the end.
Yeah, I always enjoyed Joan Rivers. She was.
Yeah, she was. Oh no, she was hilarious. I loved her as a little kid. Center Square on Hollywood Squares, and she actually had her own like daytime talk show.
I think was she the only female Tonight Show host too?
I think so. And actually, Johnny Carson, who I love as well, Johnny Carson kind of screwed her over. Actually.
She wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah. But he got mad at her. She was supposed to take over the Tonight Show, and then when she took over a different show, he got mad at her and kind of almost like blacklisted her for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I mean, Johnny didn't retire for like another 15 years after that. Was she just supposed to sit and wait forever?
Yeah, and that's that's tough too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure it was extremely tough for her as well, trying to, because it's Tonight Show. I mean,
yeah,
that's like the job if you're a comic. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream is being able to do your monologue on the Tonight Show, but. Yeah, you're right. You can't wait forever.
No, I mean, you and I know for sure, for me, as a lowly podcaster now, that was my dream job as a kid. I wanted to host the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love it when my mom would let me stay up late enough to watch Johnny Carson. That was always my thing. If I didn't have school the next day, my mom would let me stay up and watch.
I used to do the golf swing.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was little, I used to do the golf swing.
Awesome. No, I love Johnny Carson. Love Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
And they actually claim that, Ed McMahon kind of had that reputation as being like a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually claim that it was kind of the opposite.
It was Johnny Carson.
That Carson was kind of like, like Ed was always, he always had a bourbon in his hand or something, but this Johnny was kind of the one who's be kind of a mean drunk a little bit, and Ed would have to like rein him in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
always,
pull him out of a party because
it always seemed like that. It always seemed like Johnny Carson would have been the mean kind of drunk.
Yeah, like he would. Like
hey, I'm Johnny Carson.
Ed McMahon, because they were like best buddies. That Ed McMahon was kind of like the guy that knew, like, okay, he just had one too many. Time to pull him out of this party and go put him to bed.
Yeah,
but it happened, right? You're big stars. What are you gonna do? Back in those days, there was a lot of famous people walking around in the 80s, kind of goofy characters, rich people. One of those people was Donald Trump.
And lo and behold, he's president now.
Joan Rivers and Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon are no longer with us. Donald Trump's president of the United States. I know you are not a fan of his, Adam.
No,
you're not. So what? So he's now.
You're not a fan either.
No, I'm not.
You're a big fan of being ruled by British monarch.
If you listen to the last
apparently
show,
from the last show.
Yeah, if you listen to the last show, I was definitely up on the royals. I do love the royal family. But yeah, I mean, liberty and freedom and federalism are kind of like my jam. So I realize that it's a contradiction for me to love the royal family as much as I do. But I do. I like them. I dig them. So President Trump, I kind of have a weird opinion on this thing I'm going to talk about. And quite frankly, the only reason I really want to talk about it is because I do feel like I have a weird opinion that other people just don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But so Trump is basically ordering the FBI via his tweets, his infamous
I hereby demand
tweets, that the FBI is investigated to look into the potential idea that perhaps President Obama had spies or had infiltrated his campaign to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And was working with the FBI. How do you feel about this? I know that a lot of people are trying to say that it's illegal. I don't really know that it is. Some people are saying, oh, this is now official dictatorship, that he can just go back and just order the FBI to do this. I want to get your take on it, Adam, but I don't really think it's illegal. Actually, I don't like it for a couple of different reasons, but I don't actually think it's illegal. But me not thinking it's illegal isn't really being on Trump's side.
No, and I mean, I'll go ahead and say that I don't know that it's illegal or not. I mean, it's the way I look at it is it seems like it's a a huge waste of time.
Yeah.
Because there is no evidence that his campaign was infiltrated by a quote unquote spy from the FBI or the Department of Justice or wherever. I see this like the the millions of voters that voted illegally.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I kind of see that as being, as him just hearing something, hearing like a rumor, and then going like balls deep in it with it.
Sure.
And I just don't. I don't see it as being anything. I mean, first of all, there's no evidence that suggests that his campaign was infiltrated by a quote unquote spy. Just like there was no evidence that there were millions of illegal immigrants or whatever voting in the election, which caused him to lose the popular vote. And there was no evidence that his phones were tapped in Trump Tower. He just keeps on going about doing these huge, I don't want to call it a project or anything like that, but he just partakes in these investigations that are just, they seem like huge wastes of time. And
Sure.
I mean, talk about, and I know last show you guys were talking about, taxpayer dollars, not American taxpayer dollars, but British taxpayer dollars, going towards paying for that royal wedding. Well, and that maybe wasn't the case, but this is certainly the case here, where taxpayer dollars are going to be funding these investigations that are going to be looking into supposed claims that his campaign was being spied on.
Okay, where I take kind of a strange take on this, to reuse a word, is what you said may be true, that there is no evidence that this stuff's going on. I don't know that there is no evidence. Maybe Barack Obama did have some people in the FBI, trying to dig up dirt or something on Mr. Trump at the time. But what I think is, as the executive and the head of state of the United States of America and head of the executive branch, I don't think it is necessarily illegal or even wrong or outside of the duty or the ability of the president to order the FBI to do really anything. To order the FBI to reveal what was going on, or to have some sort of investigation take place. But where I take it a step further, and here's where the Trumpkins are gonna not agree with me, is that as I am fully acknowledging that it is legal for Donald Trump to do what he is doing right now as President of the United States, then I also have to believe that if what he's accusing Barack Obama of doing, that too was legal while Barack Obama was President of the United States.
For him to investigate a campaign or a presidential campaign.
Right.
Yeah, I don't,
even for his own political motives.
Yeah, I don't know the legality of really any of that. But I don't know if he can directly demand the FBI investigate that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's going to have to go through the Attorney General and have the Attorney General then make that demand that be done. I mean, it's kind of like, it's you go back to the Robert Mueller investigation, and Trump can't directly fire Robert Mueller. He has to get Rod Rosenstein to go and fire him.
Yeah, I actually disagree with that idea, just because every member of the cabinet is supposed to be, in essence, the mouthpiece of the President of the United States for that particular thing. So, although I'm a very small government guy, I don't think there's anything that the Attorney General can do that the President is allowed to do as well. I don't think there's anything that the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of Treasury can do that the president can't do on his own.
I think
those men are his assistants. Those people are his assistants, nothing more. And quite frankly, if Donald Trump wishes to exercise this type of executive power, then how can he be critical of an albeit different yet similar use of power by the person that held that exact same office? Barack Obama held that exact same office when he did or didn't do these things he was accused of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So why is the ordering of the FBI okay under Donald Trump, but it's not okay? I don't care if you say neither are okay. I don't care if you say both are okay. But what I don't get is this idea that I'm going to support Donald Trump and him doing this, yet Barack Obama was evil for doing it. For doing what could be construed as underhanded things with the FBI. Or is that what the FBI's true job is? No, but to me, the evil is not in what this current president or the last president did. The evil is in this insanely large governmental system. I don't know why the FBI has this kind of power. I don't know why the FBI... Quite frankly, I don't know why the FBI exists. I really don't. I feel like it's not a necessary institution, to be perfectly honest. I'm not saying they don't... And anything... Oh, the FBI did this, and this. Or, if you want to name the good things. Well, okay, fine. But that doesn't mean that the institution isn't overbearing and wrong in its inception.
I think one of the things one of the things that's hurting Trump right now are these, I don't want to say nefarious claims, but just, he's kind of like the boy who cried wolf in a sense. Not to say that that's, that's not something that you should, hold against him every single time. And because there's a difference between the boy who cries wolf and the president of the United States.
Sure.
But it's becoming harder and harder to take these claims seriously, and there's a lot of people out there who never took it seriously, considering the source. But it is. And it's and I see what you're saying, Josh. There's no evidence. We don't know that there's no evidence against or supporting Donald Trump's, claims. We don't know if there's any evidence that suggests that that he's lying or making all this up or anything like that.
These people were politicians, and it is no secret that Barack Obama didn't want Donald Trump to be president, that Hillary Clinton didn't want Donald Trump to be president, and that Donald Trump didn't want Hillary Clinton to be president, and that Donald Trump wished to undermine the presidency of Barack Obama.
That's politics.
Right. And what I think a lot of this is, at the end of the day, and this is a term that I've used a lot over the last 10 or 15 years, is what I feel like is going on now is the criminalization of politics. And quite frankly, yeah, politics can be a dirty game sometimes, but just because something was a little dirty doesn't mean it's illegal or actually even wrong. Am I making an argument right now that the ends justify the means? I guess I am. I guess I am, and they're not even for my ends. I'm the dope here making the argument for it. But yeah, when you're running for president, or when you're trying to push your agenda, yeah, you fight dirty sometimes. I don't really, it doesn't mean that I like it. It's just I accept it. When the sports team you're rooting for, gets away with a foul, are they all of a sudden like, oh, that's it? They're
bunch of cheaters.
They're evil. They're cheaters. I'm never rooting for them again. Like, if that's the case, then stop watching sports, dude.
Yeah.
Because it happens everywhere.
If not cheating, you're not trying.
Right. I mean, to some degree. And what Obama may have done, what some of the things Hillary may have done during the campaign, some of the things that Donald Trump has done during the campaign and in his administration, they're not even cheating. They're just, are they dirty? Maybe. Yeah, sure, probably.
I guess.
But, I mean, come on. If you're going to fight to win, you're going to fight dirty. Sorry. It's just, and I can't stand the double standard that both sides have, that when your guy does something dirty, it's the way it's got to be. Mm-hmm. When the other guy does something dirty, it's disgusting and terrible, and why isn't he on trial yet? Mm-hmm. And when, your guy says something nasty, and it's, hey, it had to be said, though. It had to be said. It's just the way it is. But then the guy that's, the guy you're against says something, and you just want to hyperanalyze every word of it. And it just gets old, man. It just gets old. It's this ideological polarization of this nation that's really, it's wrong and it's bad for the country, but at the same time, it's just so disingenuous for people to have this. I mean, the other thing that Trump did, okay, now everyone's saying that Donald Trump called immigrants animals. He's obviously if you watch the thing, he obviously, was it a great choice of words? No, it's not. Donald Trump never has a great choice of words. Mm-hmm. He says really dumb things all the time. And if you are the hugest Trump fan in the world and you can't at least acknowledge that Donald Trump says dumb things or says mean things, well, you can still love him, okay? You can still love him.
Come back for that. He's not a politician, so people love him for that.
Right, exactly, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not even debating that point right now. He's not a politician, so when he says dumb things, when he says mean things, it's just how it is. But he has said plenty of dumb and mean things without having to take his words and morph them into something they're not. Mm. When he said animals, he was talking about gang members, and he was talking about a particularly nasty gang that are animals, quite frankly. They have done terrible and disgusting and inhumane things. So this is a non-issue. And I'm not even saying that to support Trump. I'm actually just saying that to look at the other side and just quit being so disingenuous. There's plenty of dumb things Donald Trump has said that you can use without making up lies about what he said. And quite frankly, I feel the same way about Obama. There's plenty of things that Obama did that you can dislike without making up dumb stuff about him.
Like I said, I don't think that this is a hill that is really worth getting on Donald Trump for. I mean, honestly, I think that there's things that he's said that are far more egregious than
I agree
than this particular thing. Take for instance, I think the shithole comments. I think why don't we have more immigrants from Norway? I think that was much more telling to the type of person that Donald Trump is, as opposed to someone like this. I thought that was far more. I think that was worse than what we have, than what these comments were. And again, I think there's certain things that really tell the true colors of Donald Trump. I don't necessarily think that this was it. I think he's a horrible speaker. He's not very adept or very good at putting. He's not a very good wordsmith. He's not very good at putting words together and or conveying.
No, he's not. He's not.
Or conveying any type of thought.
But hey, there's people who were so disenchanted with the system and the country that they love him for it, and that's something that goes along with democracy. And although he is a very hated man in a lot of ways, a lot of people love him, and there's a very good chance that although these people think that Donald Trump is just the worst president of all time and he's such a terrible guy, there's a very good chance that he's gonna be president for 4 more years come 2020 because.
Well,
And I know you feel that way too.
I mean, well, we mentioned it on the way over here tonight that it's. I mean, look, all bets are off. I mean,
Sure.
2016. I mean, whether it's Oprah, The Rock, Donald Trump,
right?
Nobody come out and say that any one person is out of their mind or something can't happen. 2016 was proof that anything can happen, despite what comes out during the campaign, whether that president likes to grab a bunch of pussy and has a bunch of sexual assault allegations against him prior to. Still elected president, and I don't know whether that's that has more to do with Hillary Clinton just being an awful candidate. Or
people just voting their wallets.
Yeah.
Like many people have done over
knows?
The years.
Bottom line is anything can happen.
Absolutely. Listen, the other part of the ideological polarization of this country is we used to at least kind of fight that notion when something like a school shooting would happen or some tragedy would happen, but it just seems like now it's a school shooting happens and the right and the left just circle the wagons and start kind of going crazy with their talking points, and at this point you have to blame them both because they're both so bad that you could, if you choose, it's a perception thing, I guess. If you choose, you can say, oh, the right's terrible or the left's terrible because they start talking about this stuff right off the bat when some tragedy happens. Never let a good tragedy go to waste, basically. But they're both so bad that you can also then take the opposite stance and say, hey, they got to defend their point, though. Both sides have got to defend their point because that everyone's going to come at them when something happens. So you got to get on the horse. You got to try to make something happen.
I'm more in line. I'm more in tune with that line of thinking, Josh, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a gun debate or anything like that. It doesn't have to be a gun debate. I'm more or less looking for a solution. And again, I know you don't like the idea of there being a gun debate. I understand that.
I don't. That's true.
And this doesn't have to be necessarily about guns. I guess the thing that bugs me about something like this, and again, this harkens back to the school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas, was it last Friday, is that when people are sitting here and saying that, now's not the time to talk about anything. Now's just the time to grieve and to. Okay, well.
No, I understand.
I understand.
That's
fine. Grieving is fine, and that's great for. I don't want to say it's great, but that's perfectly acceptable and it's perfectly understanding for the people who are directly involved in it. Obviously, you're not going to go and ask any of those families who lost loved ones in that shooting. What do you think about should 18-year-olds have access to shotguns? I mean, that's not good. You shouldn't be doing that. But as far as like other people go, maybe other people in that community who aren't directly, involved with it. Maybe the sheriff's department or the police officer or the police department there, different authority figures, the mayor, the governor. Now isn't the time for them to grieve. It's time for them to, discuss why there was another school shooting and why I believe it's now this year that there have been more people that have died in school shootings than there have been, you know, soldiers who have died overseas in Afghanistan and in those wars. I mean, that body, the ratio in the body count there shouldn't be like that. And again, I'm not saying that this is necessarily just a gun debate or anything like that, but it's certainly one of those things that should be discussed one way or the other.
I especially agree with you there, Adam, because it really it gets me going. My hatred for illogic really gets fired up, and my basically that little part of my brain that wants to scream conspiracy about things starts to get fired up when the debate and the narrative immediately goes to that, when quite frankly there's a lot of different forums that this particular debate could happen on. And when somebody like me says, no, I actually believe in liberty and freedom, and I actually don't support gun control in any way, not actually so much because of the Second Amendment, because I believe the Second Amendment doesn't even exist anymore in this country. I believe it was actually destroyed decades and decades ago. But the things that are being proposed are far past destroying the Second Amendment. They're actually a violation of everyone's Fourth Amendment right. Which,
and
in
what's
my
the Fourth
opinion,
Amendment?
that is your right to property and privacy.
Okay.
Basically, your privacy right. And to me, it's actually the most important amendment. The Fourth Amendment is. And this is the issue I have with it. And when, you know, I constantly get accused of, when I, you know, try to debate this stuff, somewhat cordially, I get accused of not wanting a solution. Because I maybe don't want somebody's particular solution. But I get accused of, I don't want a solution, I'm just throwing my arms up in the air and I don't care. And that really isn't the case, but to me, I don't know. How about, I mean, quite frankly, I actually oppose compulsory education altogether. To tell you the truth. That's not something that's really being debated, but if you don't take that as far as I do, that's quite all right. I totally understand, but perhaps the ideas of bullying in schools and the way kids are raised, and quite frankly, the way our compulsory education system works, these are, to me, these are issues that maybe are debatable. On the other hand, listen, you know how liberty-loving I am, and you probably know or would guess that I oppose pretty much every form of censorship that could possibly exist. I oppose censorship in all its forms. But are we supposed to ignore the fact that these kids are just constantly inundated with violent video games and violent television shows and violent movies all the time, and that they live such a huge part of their life in a world that isn't real, where shooting a room full of people is just something you do?
I think that's where parenting is supposed to kick in, though.
I think it is too.
I hesitate. I hesitate to blame. I don't like blaming video games. I don't like blaming television, because I think that I'm not. I just think that that's.
But what's the one that changed more?
That is lazy parenting.
What's one that changed more? Because this is obviously a very strange phenomenon, these school shootings.
You're talking about what's changed more,
right?
Over...
And the idea that American parents have guns in their closet that kids aren't supposed to touch, that didn't change. That didn't change at all.
No, it didn't.
That has been there.
People have had guns for
200 years.
Yeah.
But what did change is that the video games kids used to play used to be a little orange guy with a mouth chasing cartoon ghosts, and now they are guys walking around with AK-47s killing a room full of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that changed. I'm not blaming everything on that right now, because I know full well that 99.9% of people that play a violent video game will never act out violently. Just like 99.9% of gun owners are never going to use them improperly. Just like 99.9% of people that watch a disgusting, over-the-top horror movie are going to go do something disturbing and disgusting and gross. But are you not supposed to acknowledge that perhaps that could play a role in somebody that maybe has an issue? I
think that there's, like I say, I hesitate to blame videos. I hesitate to blame television, because I think there's been violent forms of entertainment available.
But nowhere near as prevalent, though.
Well, maybe nowhere near as prevalent, but still, it's been there before. I think that I tend to blame more the parents than anything else, whether it's a bullying thing or trying to bring your kid back down to reality. What I was saying before is, my biggest problem with all of this, Josh, is, like I said, is this country seems to work. It's like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
Something like this will happen, and in 2 or 3 weeks, it's forgotten about, and that's it. Nothing is done about it. Whether it's trying to, whether it's trying to address, mental health, or whether it's guns, or how to handle these violent violent video games, violent television. It's not going anywhere.
No,
it's not. It's not going anywhere.
And know what, though, everybody? Neither are guns.
No, the guns.
They're
guns.
Not going anywhere.
Guns aren't going anywhere. And they shouldn't go anywhere.
And if you want to make a criminal out of everybody who has a shotgun in their closet, you can do that, but you're not going to take the guns away.
No, you're not. And I think that. And I think that was, again, one of the big misnomers about Barack Obama, is him, going and taking everybody's guns away. You said it before. It didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Barack Obama he didn't take everybody's guns away. I mean, not to spin this whole political thing. I mean, it seemed like Donald Trump has been more prone to taking people's guns away at certain points than Barack Obama ever was.
He's such a crazy wild card, Donald Trump.
He is.
You never know what he's going to do.
He is a crazy wild card. Like I said, I don't want to turn this into a gun debate, because we can go all night about this, Josh. I'm just, like I said, when something like this happens, I want us to discuss solutions. And I don't want people to go off and say the things that they always do. Now's not the time. We just need prayers. We just need, donations, and blah, 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 blah. And then once, 3 weeks roll around, 2 weeks roll around, then it's gone and forgotten about.
I don't have a problem with that statement, Adam, but what I do have a problem with is...
I don't have a problem with it either.
Somebody trying to, under the guise of, we need a solution, trying to fix a problem that already happened. And coming up with a solution is great, but if the solution sucks, then I'm not going to support it.
I'm looking at preventative solution here.
That's fine, but if the preventative solution is just taking people's liberty away, then I'm not on board.
Well, again, like I said, I don't want to say, I'm not looking for a gun debate right now. I'm looking for, just something
actually
that
not
I'm looking for something that is a discussion. I'm looking for something that is more sustainable than the week and a half, 2 weeks that we always get out of this.
Let me ask you something. I know I sound crazy when I say, to a lot of people, I know I sound crazy when I say I oppose compulsory education. Am I nuts to say that some kids shouldn't be forced to go to school? I mean, if you think I am, then go ahead and say
I don't think you're nuts. I don't want you to say I'm nuts though that some parents should have no business teaching their kids at home though. I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of bad parents who probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I guess. I just I don't know. I'm not sure that that's worse than than it is. And hey, when
I never thought that the education system in this country was perfect. I never did. I think there's a lot of things that need to change. I think I don't think Common Core is a good thing. How that pertains to mass shootings, I'm not quite sure, but
I don't think Common Core goes into that.
No,
but I think forcing kids to go to school and be bullied are
Well, again, I think that that's a separate but very relatable issue to this. And when you look at this situation here, it's sounding more and more like this kid was bullied. Not to say that that's an excuse for him to go out and kill 9 of his classmates and a substitute teacher. That's not. But we can definitely see here where this goes both ways, where, a bullied kid may bottle it up. Another bullied kid may end up taking their own life. Another bullied kid may end up going out there and taking a shotgun to school and shooting classmates. There's lots of problems here. There's lots of problems here that go unaddressed. There's lots of problems here that get swept under the rug. And school systems they're not innocent in any of this. They're not just the victim here. They're also potentially a suspect.
Yeah.
And when that stuff, when bullies get swept under the rug, when it's not taken seriously, then that's something that is I'm not saying that this school district or this school was culpable in any of this, but they can be. And I think they should be in some sense.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with those statements, Adam. I really don't. I just I do just get kind of annoyed with the I guess what I should say is, when I'm talking about this ideological polarization idea, it makes it seem as if there are only two solutions, either the Republican solution or the Democratic solution. And I just think they're both so wrong. I do. I just think they're both so wrong.
What's the Republican solution?
Mental health.
Oh, mental health.
Arm the teachers.
Arming the teachers is a horrible idea.
Okay, listen, I'm going to say something that's going to piss off both sides right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to piss off both sides real quick. And I don't care. I'll be the jerk. I'll be able to say it.
Go ahead.
Listen, you can't get more pro-Second Amendment than me. You can't get more pro-Constitution than me. You can't get more pro-Fourth Amendment than me. I honestly do believe in my heart, and this has nothing to do with this particular debate. This is just on the side. I personally do believe that, especially in a society where murder is illegal, that any person should be allowed to carry a gun anywhere they want, whenever they want to carry it. But I know a lot of teachers, so if you're a teacher that I know and you're out there, don't think I'm talking just to you, okay? But I know a lot of teachers, tons of teachers, and a good percentage of them I wouldn't trust with a goddamn potato gun. I have no desire to have teachers out there packing 9mm. Okay, dumb idea.
Yeah,
dumb idea. Now, granted, if somebody, no one should ever carry a gun who doesn't want to carry a gun. Anytime you say, "Hey, you have to carry a gun," bad idea. I've heard people say, you know, in Israel, the teachers are armed. They haven't had a school shooting in 45 years. True stat. Legit true stat right there. Okay, sorry, America. I'm going to say it again. Israelis are made of a little bit sterner stuff than we are. They just are, okay? They live in a very different country than we do.
You know,
and it works there, and God bless them. The thing is, when you're talking about Israelis, is that pretty much, except for maybe a handful of people here and there, pretty much every one of them has military training.
You know what? I agree with you when it comes to it's not a parallel argument when we're talking Israel and the United States. Look, Israel for the most part, it's a stable country. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a first world country, but I actually
think it's a very moral and just country.
But
in a lot of ways.
But they're also, I mean, in the middle. I mean, a war zone is right next door to them. And
listen, here's the truth about Israel. And listen, I love Israel. I'm a big fan of Israel. I'm a big fan of the Jewish people, the Jewish culture, the Jewish faith. I am a Zionist.
Big Netanyahu.
I am. No, I don't. You know, I don't want to. Support or condemn.
I know we talked about this last week.
But listen, I am a Zionist. I am a legitimate Zionist. From the true definition. Israel is a police state, everybody. It is. You may think it has to be. I think I might agree with you because of the situation. But Israel is a police state. They are a heavily and highly socialist police state. They're doing the best they can. That's great. But I don't want to be Israel. I don't. Who would want to be Israel? I give them credit. They're brave and just and moral. And they're doing what they can in the middle of, like Adam just said, a war zone. It's a damn war zone over there.
You got Syria to the north. You've got Gaza and the West Bank below.
And unfortunately, the region has been unstable for 1,500 years. It just has. Okay?
It's truth, too. I mean, it's not...
That's not criticizing anyone. That's not criticizing the Jews. It's not criticizing the Muslims.
No, it's just it's just the way it is there right now. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that
if you're one of these people out there that wants to 100% blame the Jews for the problem over there or 100% blame the Muslims for the problems over there, I disagree with you. But it's fine. You actually can think that. You are more than entitled to think that. And people can make legitimate arguments to back either one of those sides up. But any reason-minded person is going to at the very least, acknowledge that it's an unstable region and has been for 1,500 years.
Yeah, very much so.
You want to pick a bad guy? Cool. You want to pick a good guy? Cool. At the very least, acknowledge that it's an unstable region.
Yep.
Period. That's it. I don't care which side you're on. No, I don't. So, do, trained and armed Israelis teach classes in Israel? I bet they do, and I bet it works over there. Yeah. But like I said,
different world.
Most teachers I know, I wouldn't trust with a slingshot.
Yeah, different world over there.
I really wouldn't. I wouldn't want them around. And do I want, and God bless this woman for going in there, this mythical person I'm talking about, but do I want a 5'2" female teacher walking into a school in downtown Detroit where we come from, with a 9mm on her hip, who doesn't want it? No, because she probably isn't willing to use that weapon, but somebody else in that building might be.
Well, just I mean,
and when they take it from her, they'll use it.
I hate making this comparison, Josh, just because it's not very good, but at the same time, I think the point kind of goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason why prison guards don't carry guns inside of a prison. I don't want to say schools are prisons, but I mean, kind of the same concept.
Sure.
I mean, one prisoner gets a gun. I mean, you're looking.
He just became king of the prison.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of trouble there.
And hey, that is the reasoning for. And these are things that people are going to disagree with. What you just said is the reasoning for a gun-free zone. It is also the exact same reasoning for why everyone should carry a gun.
A gun is the great equalizer. You know, I mean, it truly is, though. You know, I mean, and most people, or a lot of people, are going to disagree with both of those sentiments. Whether it be, hey, if every single person carried a gun, then guns all of a sudden just became not that powerful. Or if nobody had a gun, then guns aren't that big a deal. Guns become an enormous deal when only one person in the room has one. Yeah, I have my...
An armed society is a polite society, as Robert Heinlein used to say in his books, and in his fiction books.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I certainly have my arguments against that, but I never understood the advertisement of a gun-free zone.
No,
Again, I understand. I just never understood, the signs or anything like that. I mean, because it's not like a criminal going into a school or going to go shoot up a school.
But you would agree with the basic sentiment that a person with a gun in a room with 50 people where 10 of them have guns is nowhere near as powerful as a person with a gun in a room of 50 people, and that's the only gun.
Again, I agree with some of the sentiment. I think there's a lot more strings attached to something like that, though.
Perhaps.
I think there is.
That's why, I'm talking in the abstract here about either side.
Yes.
I'm actually I'm attempting to lay to waste both sides of this argument.
Yes. Josh, I think that's a correct statement to a certain point, though. Like I said, I think there's a lot of strings attached to it. There could be a lot of, obviously there's lots of consequences potentially with that statement. And it's not I don't think it's as easy as just that direct statement.
Okay.
So, like I said,
I actually do think it's that easy.
But I think there's I think there's a lot of complicated, maybe not complicated, but there's much more discussion that comes out of that than just that statement alone.
That's fine.
You agree? I know you agree. That's fine.
No, I agree that the statement can be taken further. That I'll agree that if there's 50 people in the room and only 5 of them had guns, then don't give it to the crazy drooling guy in the corner. Don't give it to the guy that has just expressed that he would sure like to shoot up a room of 50 people.
But at the same time, though, we don't know who's crazy.
We don't.
We
don't. And that is and Adam, this is my fear with this stuff. Like I told you, the Second Amendment's already destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
All you guys out there fighting for the Second Amendment, you already lost that fight. You actually lost that fight before you were born. Sorry, but you did. I don't like it, but the Second Amendment fight is already lost. And generally, one of the biggest groups to me that is anti-Second Amendment in this world is the NRA. The NRA is completely anti-Second Amendment.
Interesting. Explain.
Because the NRA likes to say things like, we support common sense gun legislation.
The NRA says that?
Yeah, they're still okay with the gun control we have right now.
Was there gun control, though, when the Second Amendment was drafted?
No.
There wasn't?
None whatsoever. In fact, it's not... That's why the Second Amendment doesn't just say it's okay to own guns. You have the right to own guns. That's why it says your right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Infringed doesn't mean...
Isn't that well-regulated militia?
Well-regulated militia, yeah. Militia's a citizen army.
Okay.
So we're all part of the militia. But regardless of that, you can pick apart the well-regulated militia part.
I know it seems like there's some ambiguity there, though.
It's okay. First of all, it's two separate sentences. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That doesn't just mean...
I'm not looking it up right now, too. No. Either. I mean, like I said, the gun debate can go on, but go ahead, finish.
My point is that infringe doesn't just mean taken away. It actually means you can't make it more difficult. If I'm infringing on your right to use a laptop,
don't you dare infringe on my right to use a laptop.
That doesn't just mean that I took your laptop away from you. Right now, I know this is, for a lot of people, it's radio, not TV, but right now, I'm infringing on your ability to use a laptop because I'm putting my hand over your screen and I'm closing it on your hand and I'm just being annoying and I'm making it so your lap... You are still using it. No, you are still using it. You're still using it, but I'm infringing on your ability to use it by jumping in front of you.
You can have my laptop and you pry from my cold, dead hands.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm infringing on your ability to use it by messing with you, by being annoying. And then I'm saying, hey, I'm just doing that to make sure that only the people that really know how to use a laptop have laptops. But if you have to ask permission to do something, basically, I guess my point is, the minute one has to ask permission to do something or give a reason why they need to do something, it ceases becoming a right and it becomes a privilege. As many people have said over the years, the Second Amendment is there to potentially protect us against a tyrannical government from an enemy, foreign or domestic. What good is a Second Amendment if you have to ask permission of the person you are potentially defending yourself against to get it?
I will say this, though, Jack.
It's silly. It's silly. It's done. The Second Amendment's destroyed. It was destroyed before our parents were born.
I will say this, though. I was looking at this list of the hardest countries to invade. Mm-hmm. Like if you're if you're a country looking to invade another country, top of the list was the United States.
Yeah,
I mean, the United States would be incredibly hard to invade. I mean, not just because of how big the military is, and not so much how big the military is because it is a big military, but how advanced the military is. But people with guns.
Yeah, several of the generals and admirals in Japan during World War II studied in the United States. Mm-hmm. They went to college here in the United States. And one of the reasons they attacked Pearl Harbor and not mainland United States, and one of the reasons they did an air attack, was because they told them, you can't take mainland United States because those people all have guns.
Those people are fucking nuts.
Perhaps, but you can't do it. It can't be done because you will have to fight house to house. they didn't have the numbers. They didn't have the army. They didn't have the population to come to the United States and fight house to house. You don't have to do that in Europe.
Well, I mean,
it's what?
Like I said, I'm not debating the fact that the United States would be hard to overtake. If you're a foreign invading army. That's not to say that it can't be done, though.
I'm sure it can be. It absolutely can be. It'd be very difficult.
It would be difficult, but
no, of course it can be done.
Not to say that that's, I don't know.
It absolutely, positively can be done.
Yeah,
but when somebody is a small government person, a libertarian
unlike you.
person, like me, staunchly like me, many of the solutions I offer. I know. I'm never going to live. I'm not even going to argue with Adam with this because I did just do this podcast on the royal family, and I was just up their butt the whole podcast.
And you referred to the queen as our queen
once on accident. It was a slip.
It wasn't an accident. It was a Freudian slip.
They're king. They're queen. God save the queen. But I will say that
Thomas Jefferson, man.
One of the things when you are somebody who is a liberty-loving and freedom-loving person, I do admit, yeah, I want to err on the side of liberty and freedom.
And the Magna Carta.
The Magna Carta was about liberty and freedom. Too bad the Brits stomped on theirs long before we stomped on our Constitution. But I do believe that, yeah, sometimes when you err on the side of liberty and freedom, there are holes in the argument. There are holes in the argument saying that, well, you can't have security. Yeah, maybe you can't. I mean, really, maybe a nation full of free people or people with liberty, maybe it can be slightly more dangerous than a nation that isn't.
It's kind of go. Is this? Are you?
I mean, this is the idea of living in a prison. What is? I mean, you can, and that this is also going back to. I know I'm jumping around a lot here, but that's why I am not for arming teachers and metal detectors in schools and all that stuff. I'm sorry, as a parent, do I want my kid to be safe? Of course, it's all I want is my kid to be safe. But do I want my kid to have to walk into a prison every day to learn arithmetic? No, I don't. I really don't. I do not want my kid to have to walk into what is tantamount to a jail where they teach you stuff. I'm not interested. And yeah, I mean, to go, I guess, even to what you said a little while ago, Adam, I'd rather they got a crappy education at home.
Well,
I would.
I mean, this is, you know what, unfortunately, Josh, and no matter which way you put it, no matter which side you're on or whatever, I think everyone can agree that, unfortunately, this is the day and age that we live in. This is something that we're, you and I are both parents.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we have to deal with, in a sense. I mean, I'm not saying that that's right. But I mean, I was telling my wife the other day that, our son is, maybe he's in preschool right now,
mm-hmm.
but he was, a couple weeks ago, there was a situation at the school
mm-hmm.
where they went into a lockdown. He wasn't there that day because he goes every other day at
mm-hmm.
preschool. It turned out to be nothing. In fact, the kid that put up this thread actually was caught, and he's in a lot of trouble right
Mhm.
now. I mean, he may be going to prison because of this. But, talking to my wife about it, and it's like, look, this is something that, we're going to have to expect at some point or another. I mean,
Sure.
we're going to be getting that phone call, that automated message from, the school district saying that so and so school is in a lockdown right now because of a potential threat.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm also not crazy about living in a society. I know a lot of the solutions involve, hey, we need really strict penalties for kids that, that make a joke about this. That kids that attempt to do something. And I'm also not crazy about living in a society where we lock a 16-year-old up for 5 or 10 years because he made an off-color joke. I'm just that's not cool with me. It just isn't. But you know what, Adam, you're right though. This is a tough time to be. This is not an awesome time to be an American parent. This is not an awesome time to be a liberty-loving individual. It's not an awesome time to be an activist who wants to get rid of this stuff. Do you know what it is an awesome time to be?
A nerd.
A nerd. It is such a great time to be a nerd. It is such a great time to be a nerd. Thanks for picking up on my segue. It really is. Dude,
okay, you know what we need?
Deadpool came out last
Okay,
week.
you know what we need in schools?
What?
One Deadpool per school.
Yeah.
I mean, there we go.
Exactly. Exactly. One goofy, fun-loving guy that everybody enjoys who has just a ton of guns on him and knows how to use them and will just knock down any threat by himself. You're right. Every school needs a Deadpool.
Deadpool would have tons of fun with the kids.
He would. They would love him most of the time.
Oh, they would love him.
And then active shooter comes in and boom.
I'm sure
Katana blade to the dome.
Yeah, I'm sure the administration would be like, ugh.
Oh, Deadpool. But hey, we need him here, right? We need him, right? Come on.
God, is Wade Wilson coming in today again? Yeah, he's here every day.
He works here. And what are you gonna do? He's employed.
It'd be sweet if Deadpool was.
It would. It really would be great. But listen, man. Who would have thought as a nerd that? We didn't just get a Deadpool movie. Deadpool 2 came out this week.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. We got a Han Solo movie coming out.
Okay, who would you rather have patrolling your high school?
Oh my god, that is such a good question.
Deadpool or Han Solo?
They're both pretty much like my top two choices, but God, I don't even know. Probably Han Solo.
Han Solo?
Yeah. It's because Deadpool's kind of a statist.
Is he?
Yeah, he actually is. Yeah, in the comics, Deadpool actually supported the mutant registration.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. That's actually why him and Cable broke up as partners in the comics.
I've had a little trouble with this. Is Deadpool actually a mutant?
No.
That's what I'm saying, because he wasn't born a mutant.
No, he's not a mutant.
Yeah.
No, he has Wolverine's DNA injected into him, which gives him a healing factor like Wolverine's, and it's actually more powerful than Wolverine's because Deadpool has terminal cancer. So because his body is dying, his healing factor is always working.
It's always gone.
Double time to fight the cancer. So his healing factor is actually more powerful than Wolverine's because it's constantly working to get rid of the cancer that is killing him. But they can't kill him because of that. Yeah. Because of that, basically. But no, Deadpool is not a mutant.
Okay, how about this one?
Okay.
Deadpool, Han Solo, or Chewie?
Yeah, they'd be great. They'd all be great. If it's Han and Chewie working together, Yeah, I love Chewie though. Chewie would be a great one too.
Yeah.
Right? He's just kind of no nonsense. You don't need to worry
Wouldn't
about.
understand them.
Yeah, but you don't need to. Nobody listens to the hall monitors anyway.
Yeah.
Why do they need to?
They might listen to a what, 8-foot hall monitor covered in hair with a crossbow that shoots lasers.
Yeah, you might. I'd be more prone to listen to him than the dopey hall monitors I had when I was in high school.
You know what Chewie's downfall would be? Him always thinking with his stomach. I mean, that would be.
That's true. That's true. It's like where's Chewie? We need him to break up this school shooting. Oh, he's in the cafeteria. Of course. Of course. Where else would he be? He's at the vending machine. But hey, man, I'm seeing Deadpool tomorrow night.
Should be a fun one.
I'm seeing. I am seeing Solo on Friday night.
Man,
So 2 movies this week. I'm looking forward to it.
Got old Richard Roper over here.
Yeah, some people are hating on Solo already. I think it looks good, man. I think it looks cool.
Hey, you knew my opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I know you're not a fan.
I'm not interested. I mean, I'll see it at some point.
I'm sure you will. You'll Netflix it.
So you just can't have a Han Solo movie without Han Solo.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's weird. And the dude who's playing Lando looks cool as hell, but it's not Billy D though.
No, it's not Billy D, and I don't know. I just can't get on board with it. I can't. Yeah. I mean, because Han Solo, Harrison Ford is the only one you've ever known to play Han Solo.
Right.
Ever. I mean, obviously, when you have the Batman movies or the Spider-Man movies, I mean, obviously there's been different guys that have played those roles before.
Definitely.
And it seems like that's kind of the thing with those movies.
Spider-Man is bigger than an actor. It's kind of like James Bond,
Yeah, I mean, Batman, Batman too. It's like, oh, who's gonna be the new Batman, or who's gonna be who's gonna be the new Spider-Man?
The thing is with like Batman and Spider-Man too. It's like he wears a mask. Who cares who it is? Yeah. Who cares who it is? He's in a mask. Yeah, I know somebody's got to play Bruce Wayne, somebody's got to play Peter Parker, but still, it's at the end of the day, they wear a mask. Who cares?
But I mean, well, and this isn't the case with Wolverine, but again, I wouldn't have any interest to see a Wolverine movie that isn't being played by Hugh Jackman.
You're right. And I really wanted to see the X-Men and Avengers universes combine, because it drives me crazy. I mean, there's 2 Marvel movie universes right now. There's the X-Men and the Avengers, and it's fine. They're both been good. They both been good series of movies, but the X-Men and the Avengers are both in Marvel.
They got to come together at some point.
They cross over all the time.
Yeah, they got to come together at some point.
There's just a couple of years ago, there was a great Avengers versus X-Men arc, and these characters they cross over all the time, and a lot of the characters they've been in both. And you can easily just name, there's a dozen or so characters that have been both Avengers and X-Men several times.
We're talking about the we're just mentioning Deadpool. I mean, isn't that movie gold? Having Wolverine and Deadpool,
you'd think so,
both be together. I mean, can you imagine Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds just the banter back and forth between those two? I mean, it would. I mean, that movie alone. I would tell you what, right now, I think I would be much more excited to see a Deadpool and Wolverine movie than a Batman and Superman movie.
I could see that.
I mean, I think I'm much more of a. I think I favor Marvel more than I do DC, but yeah, I think I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Disney would feel about putting something out like that,
right?
But,
and that's this is why monopolies aren't always bad.
They're not always bad, but then again, they're not always good too, because I can't see Disney putting out that movie. But at some point, Disney, this is what you signed up for.
Right.
I mean, you knew heading into this that some of these characters weren't you know,
they're
they
not
didn't
very savory.
Yeah, they didn't fit the Disney mold.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Deadpool and Wolverine, two of the most popular.
Oh, it needs to happen.
It does need to happen,
and it's happened. It's not like this would be something made up by the movie.
In the Wolverine Origins movie doesn't count.
No, it does not count. Agreed. But I mean, come on, the Wolverine and Deadpool were in comics together so many times.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like we were saying in the origin. I know this isn't necessarily the movie origin, but the origin of Deadpool, the reason he has his powers is because they used Wolverine's DNA to make him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a huge thing. And hey, Thanos and Deadpool actually have a big connection in the comics. This is I mean, we have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the Avengers movie. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are Magneto's kids. They don't tell you that, of course, in the Avengers movie because Magneto doesn't exist, or they don't talk about that stuff. But in the comics, those are Magneto's kids. It's a big deal. Storm and Black Panther get married in the comics. I mean, come on. Vision and Scarlet Witch get married. That means Magneto is Vision's father-in-law. This is a big deal. I mean, especially imagine. I mean, that's always can be a tenuous or tumultuous relationship. Imagine you're made of metal and Magneto is your father-in-law. That sucks. You must really love that girl.
Yeah.
That's not an easy situation to go into.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be that. Yeah, that's wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah. I don't know that anyone has.
Yeah.
Just kind of popped into my head. But yeah, I mean, come on, this is a big deal.
It is. And like I said, I think that Disney knew what they signed up for. Shit like this needs to happen. Yeah, it's what nerds all around have been clamoring for. And they make a shit ton of money off of it.
And I want to eventually see a Marvel versus DC movie. If I'm 70 years old, that's okay. And there's going to be people out there, Josh, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. Listen, if you'd have told me when I was 12 that someday they wouldn't just have an Ant-Man movie, but they'd come up with a sequel to the Ant-Man movie, I'd have told you were nuts. So don't tell me I'm crazy for wanting a Marvel versus DC movie, because that shit's happening someday. I just want it just before I die.
You know what? You know what that does, though? That is... Stuff like that, Josh, a Marvel versus DC movie, or Marvel versus DC, anything to that regard. Whether, and I'm not talking about fan fiction or anything like that. I mean, there's only certain areas where this can happen. It can happen in a comic book for it to be legit. It can happen in a video game for it to be legit.
Yep.
And it can happen in a movie for it to be legit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you nailed it.
Other than that, anywhere else, it's not legit.
Right.
It's not legit. Doesn't really happen. But that's precedent setting.
Right.
Something like that happens, there's no going back. There's no going back to a time where that didn't happen.
Sure. It's kind of like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, they exist in the same universe.
Yeah,
now.
when they made the Freddy versus Jason movie, I loved that movie. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good horror movie. I thought it was just a good action movie, and just more so than anything, it was just funny and fun, and I loved it. But I remember walking out of there thinking, I never want to see a Freddy movie or a Jason movie ever again, though. Freddy and Jason they're a pair now.
Yeah,
they're a couple. They're in this. They're in it to win it now, man.
And it would be the same here too. I mean, you could never think of it as two different universes anymore.
And there has been crossovers in the comics. There's been quite a few, but they've always so tiptoed around the idea that it wasn't canon in either universe, and it was like a crazy kind of one-time crossover thing. And they've been cool. There really have been some cool ones, but for the most part, they've always made it very clear that whatever was happening in the Marvel universe and whatever was happening in the DC universe was not affected at all by their crossovers. But yeah, and hey, maybe Disney can just
buy DC,
buy DC or buy Warner Brothers and buy Fox and just do it all up. They're big enough. I don't want to see this big conglomerate, but since we got it, I mean, hey, give me some cool stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I already want to see a Star Wars Marvel crossover. I do. I think that'd be cool as hell.
I do too.
It's because I've always been a big fan of that Capcom versus Marvel video game.
Yeah,
I always thought that was cool, and I want to see more of shit like that.
Me too. I love crossovers. Just like the Marvel vs. Capcom was fun. The Mortal Kombat versus DC game, cool too. And I always thought all right, they did Marvel vs. Capcom, so the Street Fighter dudes are fighting the Marvel guys, and the DC guys are fighting the Mortal Kombat guys. We just need a 4-way thing now.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, we just need, I want, because, I've always wanted to, use, fight Scorpion against Ryu.
Oh my god.
And just, we need a game of that. And yeah, it's Capcom, so don't just stop with the, like they did in the other games, don't just stop with the Street Fighter guys. Give me Mega Man. Let's have Mega Man in there, and, even a Street Fighter vs Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Why hasn't that happened?
That would be so.
Why
that would be
has
so
that not
fucking
happened?
cool if that were to happen.
Yeah, I mean, so
even like a Ryu versus Liu Kang.
Yeah,
that would be badass.
Yeah, it would. Who doesn't want to see? Yeah, Ryu fight Liu Kang and
Chun-Li versus Sonya Blade or Katana.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. No, I mean, you need that stuff. It's fun. This stuff isn't supposed to be serious. And Bison, yeah, I'd have to take like Goro or Shang Tsung.
Oh, Goro. Yeah. Goro and Bison?
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
That would be cool.
That would be sweet. Yeah. And Bison would have to take on, either Shao Kahn or Shang Tsung or Goro. Or Sagat versus Goro.
Sagat versus Goro would be a good one. I'm thinking Blanca versus Raiden.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it'd be cool. A little electricity going on. Yep. For sure. I like it. Yeah, I'm on board with this, man. I'm on board with this. It needs to happen. Stuff like this needs to happen. It's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah, maybe they just need to hire us.
Yeah, I think so. Dude. So hey, the Capcom Marvel, they're bringing in Rush and Mega Man and those dudes, and DC's bringing it in. Hey, DC already owns the Watchmen. Throw Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan in there too. Just do it. What's stopping you? What? You're hurting the integrity of comic book characters? There's no integrity of comic book characters.
Was Sonic in Super Smash Brothers?
He was, yeah.
Was he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. At one point, I don't know if we still do or not, Mike Soroka and I held one of the Smash Brothers records. Actually, two of the Super Smash Brothers duo records.
Mm-hmm.
And in both cases, I was using Link and he was using Sonic.
Okay.
Yeah, so he would just, oh my god, he would just throw me. We were killing guys so fast.
I'd have to go with Sonic.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was just, he would just spin them at me and I would just throw, oh man, those were the days, man. we killed it on that. But, hey, I think that about, wraps up this edition of the X-Cast.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed little politics, little nerd stuff. If you missed the best podcast in history, talking about the royal wedding, that was good stuff too. Hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next week at theempiremedia.com. I screwed up this promo on the last show when I was talking about it in the best podcast in history, but I won't screw it up this time. Next week we have Politics of the Empire at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then following that will be Deep Issues, where we will be discussing simulation theory, probably my favorite topic on planet Earth.
Yep.
So simulation theory will be great. Please don't miss that show.
Watch The Matrix to prepare yourself.
Yes, your simulated life might depend on it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Josh. He's Adam. This was the Xcast.
Take the blue pill.